if Exxon were to write a huge check, I'd have to send it back. Because if they plan to dig in the community and it causes an environmental issue, but I'm going to turn my head the other way because I want to vote, it's just not going to work that way. Just can't do that. And I can't compromise the lives of the constituents who put their hope in me to do the right thing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody that was clear on
That's
that.
right.
That's important.
That is. And we really need to start looking at how do you get money out of politics so that, because if say for instance, if like I said, Exxon or Sunoco or something like that writes $1 million check, you're beholden to that individual or to that company. And you're not beholden to your constituents anymore. And that's why when we talk about the super PACs, which are the political action committees, we really have to be careful with that. Like, as I stated, very proud to say this campaign has been completely funded by the people. And the most important part of it is we do the work for the people, and I say we because I work in conjunction with others. We're doing some work right now in our community. I'm still the 6th District City Councilwoman, and I love serving, but I'm looking forward to going to the next level as Lieutenant Governor. But just some of the work that we've been able to do, we were able to, before coming into office, the Boys and Girls Club was actually closed in the 6th District. And working with the president of the Hedgeville Civic Association, Heather Taylor, and working with the Hedgeville Civic Association as well as the Browntown Civic Association, and just the community, as well as Mayor Williams and State Senator Bobby Marshall, we were able to get Boys and Girls Club programming this year. And one of the things we were able to do, went back to the same individuals and said, I appreciate the Boys and Girls Club programming. We're using existing structures, so we have 6 through 12-year-olds at Pulaski School, and we have 13 through 18-year-olds at Parkway Academy. And I went back and said, okay, so I appreciate it, but now we have some children whose parents have some socioeconomic challenges. So the 150 children who went to the Boys and Girls Club in the 6th District did not have to come out of their pocket. So we were able to, and as I keep saying, I didn't do it by myself, and that's exactly how I shall govern as Lieutenant Governor, work very closely with everyone else so that we can get the job done at the state.
Okay. All right, Sherry, I know you'll be back next week, right, to give us some more information?
Absolutely.
And you did mention Heather Taylor.
Yes.
So we want to give her a shout out.
Yes.
She is running for
6th District City Council.
Right? Okay.
Yes, she is.
Right. Definitely want to ask everyone to support Heather Taylor. And seeing her signs, she has signs all around the city.
She really does.
She's running the Lord. Showing off. So definitely, if you live in Sherry's district, I want to ask you to support Heather Taylor, who is also running for City Council. So since Sherry's going to be our Lieutenant Governor, Heather will replace her. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Hanifa Shabazz.
It was a tough job. Awakened by that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, many times involved a life or death situation. But the decisions you make as Newcastle County Executive never ends regardless of the time of the day. New problems hit your desk every morning that affects the lives of 550,000 people in Newcastle and Delaware residents. Keeping our county safe with a top quality police force. Improving the quality of life with a Class A library and park system. Keeping tight controls of your tax dollars. Helping the private sector create more jobs and controlling growth to stop urban sprawl. Every decision you make as county executive makes somebody unhappy. But being an effective leader is not a popularity contest.
I have known Miss Hanifa my entire life and look up to her as a leader in this community. As a young woman, what's really important to me is that women are adequately represented in the political system so that our agendas and the importance of what we need to happen in the political system, all of that gets on the forefront of the national agendas. I'm extremely excited about it. Her leadership in this community has been astounding and tremendous. I know she is going to be an exceptional leader in the City Council. I look forward to it. I am absolutely supporting her.
When I served as Newcastle County Police Chief, it was a tough job. Awakened by that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, many times involved a life or death situation. But the decisions you make as Newcastle County Executive never ends regardless of the time of the day. New problems hit your desk every morning that affects the lives of 550,000 people in Newcastle and Delaware residents. Keeping our county safe with a top quality police force. improving the quality of life with a Class A library and park system, keeping tight controls of your tax dollars, helping the private sector create more jobs.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Right now we're going to have City Councilwoman Hanifa Shabazz, and she is running for City Council President. Welcome to the show, Hanifa.
Thank you very much for having me.
How's everything going?
Very well. Very
okay.
Good.
What made you to decide to run for City Council President?
Well, the seat was open.
Okay.
You know, and my own political agenda of things I wanted to accomplish as a public servant. The next was to be able to have access to the leadership.
Okay.
And with that being opening, it just gave me that the time was now. I've done several things on council and have convened over the various committees, done numerous projects throughout my district, and now I just want to make another impact for the city, for the growth of the city.
How long have you been on council now?
3 terms, which
Okay.
equals 12 years.
All right.
12 exciting years. Yeah. And
How has council changed since you've been a part of it?
well, I've served under 3 different presidents, 2 different mayors, and the leadership styles are all different.
Right.
And it's changed because of the different characters coming on council, and also too the needs of the city.
Right.
You know, and I really wish that under my leadership, my intentions is to make us focus much more on being a stronger legislative branch of government, and building our stronger rapport and respect through the county and the state government.
Okay.
And you know, just really working hand in hand with the administration so that we are just seamlessly with the administration, so that we're one government working. Because a lot of information that we as city council members have, and you know, going to council meetings and talking with the constituents, it's vital information that the administration needs to be able to do their job.
Right.
So they have to really have the information from us and have our input, have us at the table making these decisions, and that to me best makes a better operating government.
You do a lot of traveling, you know, from state to state, getting information and bringing it back
I
to
do.
Wilmington.
I do. Because sometimes if you're so immersed in it, you can't see it in a holistic or either in a way to come up with a solution. But if you go outside and you see other cities and some of the things they've done, then you come back with more in best practices of how other cities have addressed their issues and been successful. And so, I mean, I brought several of them back.
And I remember you. Tell us about the CDC.
CDC. Well, I've requested the CDC to come into the city to address the epidemic proportion of violence by guns, and they did. And we are now in the implementation stage. There are three findings that they suggested, and we're working and moving all 3 of them along simultaneously. The most invigorating one is the Community Advisory Council, which consists of about 38 different agencies and agencies and individuals, including youth. And right now we're doing some focus groups with the community, so that we can see that what our suggestions are is what is amenable to the community, and how do we best shape those adjustments of service delivery so that they are received better and responded back from the community. So it's great work. I'm thankful for all the individuals who take time out and have our every 3 weeks we're meeting for 3 to 4 hours to get this work done. And we're going to nip it in the bud. We're not going to get rid of violence at all, but what we are doing to cause some of the traumas and social ills in our community, we're going to fix those.
Okay. So how can people help you with your campaign?
They can visit my website, www.hanifashabazz.com. The big day's coming up, and the city is 56 different polling places. I could use assistance and volunteers on election day. And of course, we always need donations, you know, because it does cost to get the word out and get the people to the polls. But also just to visit my website and give me your email address. I like so you can hear the things that I've accomplished, the things that I'm doing, and the many people that are endorsing me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any final words you want to get out?
Well, again, I'd just like to say to the listening audience, again, my name is Hanifa Shabazz. I've served the city of Wilmington for the past 12 years. I intend to use my proven leadership, my principled legislation, and my passionate as a public servant to convene over approximately 7 new council members that are going to need leadership and direction into being a more focused legislative branch of government, and one that is respected and heard when we go to our county government as well as our state government. And I have those characteristics that are necessary. So please vote for me on September 13th and visit my website to learn more about me and to join the Shabazz team.
Okay. All right. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. You're welcome. We're going to take another break, and we'll be right back with Penrose Hollins and Tom Gordon and my dad.
Initiative to seek out investors for the port, since I knew that the state was not in a position to be able to fund that. We now have brought to the state, along with the Secretary of State, a real possibility of people coming in and financing all 3 ports. And that's continuing as we speak, and I'm sure that they're going to see, we're all going to see, that there's enough investors out there that we can do 3 or 4 of the ports in Wilmington.
I'm Penrose Hollins. I've had the privilege of serving on County Council with the leading focus on jobs and housing. I led the effort to secure the funds to renovate the old courthouse in downtown Wilmington. That construction project produced hundreds of local jobs as well as permanent employment. In addition, I was able to secure funding for the expansion of Citrus Sucrose at the Wilmington Port. That expansion has created more than 150 permanent jobs at the Port of Wilmington. As chairman of the Newcastle County Housing Committee, we are responsible for managing the $22 million which we receive each year from the federal government for various housing initiatives. These programs have ranged from stabilizing neighborhoods by addressing housing blight to providing more than 650 first-time home buyers with down payments to assisting more than 100 families through private funding for home mortgage and purchases. I'm very proud to say that in Newcastle County, we continue to present outstanding police service, outstanding paramedic service, very active parks, and a library system that is growing by leaps and bounds without having to raise the taxes of our citizens.
Make you say, no limit. Got that masterpiece, no limit, baby. Give you that black car, no limit. Just know when you roll with somebody like me, there's no limit, baby. Make you say, no limit. I see murder that, no limit, baby. Give you that ghetto D, girl, no.
As Newcastle County Police Chief, it was a tough job. Awakened by that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, many times involved a life or death situation. But the decisions you make as Newcastle County Executive never ends regardless of the time of the day. New problems hit your desk every morning that affects the lives of 550,000 people in Newcastle and Delaware residents. Keeping our county safe with a top quality police force. Improving the quality of life with a Class A library and park system. Keeping tight controls of your tax dollars. Helping the private sector create more jobs and controlling growth to stop urban sprawl. Every decision you make as county executive makes somebody unhappy. But being an effective leader is not a popularity contest. When I served as Newcastle County Police Chief, it was a tough job. Awakened by that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, many times involved a life or death situation. But the decisions you make as Newcastle County Executive never ends regardless of the time of the day. New problems hit your desk every morning that affects the lives of 550,000 people in Newcastle and Delaware residents. Keeping our county safe with a top quality police force. Improving the quality of life with a Class A library and park system. Keeping tight controls of your tax dollars. Helping the private sector create more jobs and controlling growth to stop urban sprawl. Every decision you make as county executive makes somebody unhappy. But being an effective leader is not a popularity contest.
Well, thanks again that we're here together. First of all, I want to say welcome to Sammy's Corner. It's probably more serious now than it has been in a long time. Our lives depend on decisions that are made, information that we gather, and just closely paying attention to what it is that's going to make a difference in this community in the next 4 years. I know you hear a lot from many politicians, whether it's because they want to make this a better place or they want to enhance their ego. Pulling these resources together would be great, but I doubt if we can. So we got to pick the top people in this community, in this county, that will allow us to get the best out of life that we possibly can for the next 4 years. And I've got two great guests tonight that I believe has the key to solving a great deal of our problems, not all of them, but a major part. And I guess I want you to hear them talk about how important it is to pay attention to what they're saying, because I know that you can't arrest your way out of crime, not when we have the percentage of unemployment that we have. And it's not anybody's fault, but it is our fault if we don't do something about it. The other thing that helps us to get employment is education. So we've got to look at two things, jobs and schools. And I'm going to turn you over to two of the experts that can tell us the best way to do it. Welcome to Sammy's Corner, Tom and Penrose.
Penrose, why don't you start off tonight?
Well, thank you, Sammy, so much for having us here tonight. I've graduated to Sammy's Corner. This is my intro to Sammy's Corner. So I've always been wanting to be on Sammy's Corner. How do you get to be on Sammy's Corner? So I guess you have to run for president of the county council. But at any rate, I'm glad to be here, and appreciate you giving us the opportunity and the voting public the opportunity to hear what Tom Gordon have to say and what I have to say. I agree with you that the public here is responsible for electing the best person for the job at the time. Elections create consequences. I've been told all of my life that the most qualified person should get the position. There's no question of my qualifications. There's no question of Tom's qualifications. There are folk who may not like me for a variety of reasons, may not like Tom for a variety of reasons. But if you're going to really base your decision for the leadership in county government on experience, on a record that's very visible and very factual, I think without a doubt it would be Tom Gordon for county executive and Penrose Hollins for county council president. I have a record, a 20-year record as president pro tem. I'm the only candidate in this race who have a record to run on. I'm the only candidate in this race who have legislative experience, and I was overwhelmingly endorsed by the Democratic Party of Newcastle County because I believe my campaign represents the values of the Democratic Party. My opponents have zero experience combined as legislative leaders. My opponents got 1 vote each in the democratic process. So I think this is up to the voters, and it's very clear where we've come from. And I look forward to talking with you tonight, discussing the issues in Newcastle County and how we as a progressive government has spent an awful lot of time trying to make certain that people in Newcastle County are progressing along with this government. It's just not about those people at the top, but making certain that everybody in Newcastle County has an opportunity to be progressive.
Well, Sammy, again, we're lucky to come back on Sammy's Corner. It's important. We're 14 days from the finish line. And I don't think I've ever seen a campaign where we're going to stay positive, but we get stuff thrown at us that it's hard to defend against because it's not true at all. But we're very much involved in, I think we built 8 out of 10 of the libraries that we now have, and they're all beautiful and they're up and running. We're building the largest one right now on Route 9, Innovation Center. We have the greatest parks rebuilt again. Since I got back, I bought Glasgow in the 90s, and I came back and finished it off. And I was down there last night, and it must have been 5,000 people. It just looked like a Norman Rockwell photograph. Same thing with Carousel, and we're doing such good things with the police department, public safety, and one thing we're we're getting criticized for is we broke the government, and we're trying to say it's a mathematical certainty that we have the largest surplus in history. Or it's right now it's 132 million. But they'll say, and we broke the county, and how do you defend against that? Or I gave some farmer $6 million for farmland, and nobody's been giving any money for farmland. And they're just, you really need to check out these two candidates for their background, because what they're saying is just not true. And in a debate, you get 2 seconds to answer, 12 years of governing, and you never get to really explain any of it. But just don't let anybody fool you that the government's in sound. There's no farmland bought. What are some of the other accusations that we go through every debate? It's tough, but we believe, and I think people are starting to believe it now. You can't arrest your way out of what's happened to Wilmington. What's happened to Wilmington is all the jobs at Chrysler, GM, Avon, Phoenix Steel, all the livable wage jobs have been sucked out of the city and the county, and you're starting to pay for that. And when you have then I'll tell you, the highest recidivism rate in the country and the highest incarceration rate in the country, and the country has the worst in the world, might be the worst in the world for Delaware, for Wilmington. We've got to realize that it's the lack of opportunity and jobs that's causing the crime. And that we've been working very hard on the Port of Wilmington. Everybody's making fun of that, or my opponents are making fun of that, and it's all but complete now. You're going to see Edgemore, you're going to see the new port, River's Edge, and you're going to see the Diamond State revitalized. And the jobs are real, and they want to poke fun at that like it's not happening. We didn't work on it for a year. Or the stock market that we have going up in a couple weeks didn't happen according to them, and it's all a theory that we have. Stock market will keep the lawyers in the middle class or the upper class, and the middle class will be brought on with the jobs that are going to be created at the port, which are good paying jobs that you can raise a family. I sound like a broken record. You raise a family, you can buy your house back, buy a car. Right now we have the city's going rental, and people that are renting it to you are charging you what you could buy your house for. There's 1,700 empty homes that we've got to do something with in the city. And now the county's got some serious problems like that too. Penn's going to roll out something this week on that, because we've got corporations in here buying houses and renting them. And a lot of it is around where we're trying to bring a lot of reform on Route 9. And we've got to get ahead of that. So we've been innovative. Every day we work to improve the county government. I think the thing I'm most proudest of is in 4 years, I haven't had one excessive use of force complaint by the police department, public safety under Joe Bryant, Chief Setting. They're doing a fabulous job. But not to have any of that, what was going on before. It's just a tremendous improvement. And I think it starts with council leadership and my office. And we do a good job, and what we're saying to the voters, if you think we're doing a good job, you have a couple good choices. And we hope you make the right decision. But at least check out the backgrounds of the people that are running, and see if any of what they're saying is true, or if you can find anything in their record.
Well, from where I sit, and I guess if I was going to have an operation, I'd want the best doctor. I tell my grandchildren, if they were in the hospital, what would they want? An A doctor, a C doctor, or B doctor? They all want A doctors. So they all have to be A people. They have to study hard and so forth and so on. I'm convinced that Penn here has the credentials of that many years in service to be able to give that leadership. He's been able to give that leadership years ago. He kind of stayed back while other people tried at it. But
he's a great statesman, and he doesn't talk about himself.
I know.
And his whole life has been fair housing, and all over the county. When I talk about this, it's all over the county, and what he's done to give people a chance and opportunity is just remarkable. It's hard to pull out of him any criticism of anything or what he's been accused of, in terms of not doing anything or being a rubber stamp for me. None of it's true. And I just can't believe that we have to defend against this stuff.
Well,
Talk about your background.
Talk about that background some more.
Not laugh about this rubber stamp thing. I mean,
He's not a rubber stamp. I wish you were.
My
but-
opponent said I was a rubber stamp for Tom. I think the history speaks for itself. No, I wanted to talk a little bit about the things that Tom was talking about, and I think one thing that makes us as progressive as we are is the fact that we try very hard to be inclusive in county government. And that's with our libraries. Tom talked about, we built the 10 or renovated 10 libraries. The biggest one in the inventory is going to be on Route 9. There's a need in Route 9. We take kids from inner city Wilmington out to our parks. We've had them at Rockford Park. We've had them at the Carousel. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were at Carousel Family Fun Day, and we went around to the families to visit. Well, where do you live in Newcastle County? Which park do you like? And surprising to us, and very pleasantly surprising, an awful lot of the families at Carousel live in Wilmington, and that's the idea, to be inclusive. So when we talk about housing and housing opportunities, the fact of the matter is, for middle-class families, wealth begins with home ownership. And I know when I served on Habitat for Humanity for 5 years on the board of directors, providing home ownership opportunities for deserving families, you can see the difference in the family when they become homeowners. You can see the difference in their children and their grades in school. You can see the difference in how they feel about themselves. So I know firsthand that home ownership is very critical to families. It's very critical to becoming part of a wealth of this country. If you own a home in America, it means that you're beginning to enter into wealth of America, because you take the equity in your home to send your children to school oftentimes. You take the equity from your home to actually go into business if you so desire. You take the equity that you build in at home to have a comfortable retirement. So if you never get into that, then you're denying yourself an opportunity in this country. So that's why I fought so very hard for home ownership. And in Newcastle County, when I came here, there was no housing committee. I created that. After I created that, I created Down Payment Settlement Help Program. That program alone has assisted more than 650 Newcastle County families to become first-time home buyers. In addition to that, I went out to the private sector and got an additional grant to help first-time home buyers in Newcastle County. That program has produced over 120 first-time home buyers in Newcastle County. So the two programs alone has produced over 770 families in Newcastle County that made them homeowners to enjoy some of the wealth of Newcastle County and the progress of this county. So everything we do, from the libraries, we built the 2 libraries in the city of Wilmington. We also fund the downtown library. So it's all inclusion. At our lot, the new library we're building, there's going to be space in there for kids with autism. At the biggest park we have in the county, down at Glasgow, there's going to be space there for kids with autism. So it's all about being inclusive. This morning, we were at the August Quarterly, the oldest religious African-American festival in the country. We left there, went down to the University of Delaware, because there's Indian festival going on down there. Just 2 weeks ago, we were in Hockessin for the Chinese American Festival on Saturday, and back for India's independence on that Sunday. So it's all about building bridges. While Donald Trump talks about building walls, we're talking about building bridges. So we want to bridge all of the communities in Newcastle County and make certain that everybody in Newcastle County is benefiting of the progress of this government. County Council just last summer added an additional $100,000 to our summer youth employment program, so that enable us to reach 4 more kids than we normally would reach. But we decided in these critical times there should be more than what we would normally granted. So we went into our budget to add $100,000 to that. Just 6 weeks ago or less, we renovated the 100th home in Claymont for a deserving family, because we're trying to stabilize neighborhoods. That goes a long way in the safety of your neighborhood, the type of people that's in your neighborhood. So when you have home ownership in your neighborhood, you have equity in the neighborhood, you have credibility in the neighborhood, and people want to come into the neighborhood as opposed to leaving the neighborhood. So these are the kinds of things that we're doing, and we're doing them very well. I don't think anyone's going to argue about our library system. When you go down to Kent County, there's 1 library in Kent County. We're the only county in the state of Delaware with a police force. And we have an A1 police force. We have an A1 paramedic. They're gold rated, the highest standard in the nation. You talk about our finances, AAA bond rating from all 3 of the bond rating agencies. That's as high as you can get. You can't get any higher. And people will tell you, well, Moody said this, and read Moody's entire letter, and when you say what can we do to make it better, it's not applicable, because you can't get any higher than a AAA bond rating. There's over 3,000 counties in America. Only 39 of that over 3,000 counties have a AAA bond rating from all 3 of the bond rating agencies. In addition to that, we're audited every single year by an independent auditor that we don't pick, the audit committee selects. Right now, our books are being audited by an audit firm out of Baltimore, and we change it every couple of years because we don't want to have the auditor making relationships with our managers. So to say that somehow our finances are being jeopardized, it's just either someone not understanding or they're deliberately lying. But either way, it's bad. So you can learn what the process is. You can learn, just take the time to look at it, and you have a better understanding, and then you're telling the truth to the best of your ability. But if you're not going to do that, then that's problematic.
You know, the other day I was listening to you talk about how you intervened when they were building, contractor was building and didn't comply with the regulations of minority.
The courthouse.
Yeah. And I'd like to hear that again, real quick, if you can.
Well, we had an opportunity as a county to get special funding through the counties, money that did not come to cities. It only came to counties. And I wanted to make certain that this money from the federal government, this opportunity, was being used primarily in the city of Wilmington. And that's exactly what we did. So the old courthouse was being renovated by Petnero on downtown Rodney Square. So when Petnero came to the county for a $28 million bond financing, and I said to him, let me see who's working on this job, because the way the federal government intended was to make certain that this bonding was being spent in areas that had high foreclosures and high unemployment. Well, if you're going to renovate a building right downtown, right in the front yard of the east side of Wilmington, what other area is more harder hit for unemployment and foreclosure than the east side? So I'm saying to Petnero, then if you want the county to provide you with this bond financing, then you have to show me a plan where you're going to include people that's living on the east side on this job. Because I ride right past the courthouse every single day on my way to my office. I don't see anybody who look like they live on the east side of Wilmington. So the second time around, he came back with a diversity plan that we would accept. The first time he gave me a plan on one sheet of paper, and we denied it. He came back with a plan that we accepted, and you know what they did that same year? They became the diversity firm of the year. And when I saw his manager just a couple of weeks ago, he thanked me for it and said that they've changed their whole model and how they hire people over at Petnero, and they're very grateful. So they're setting the standard for the industry and their group of workers. So all of that was difficult to do, but going forward, it has an impact. So we can't allow, if you understand the legislative intent from Washington, oftentimes when they get to the local level and the local leaders don't understand the intent, oftentimes the money gets sent diverted someplace else.
I was impressed with that, and to take that giant step was tremendous.
Well, we had to do it because I understood what the federal intent was when the federal government decided to try to help hard-hit areas to overcome. If we don't direct it that way, then the areas that are hit the hardest are not going to get the relief that they deserve to get. If you don't have people locally who understands that and understand the connection, it's not going to happen.
Right, and I'm impressed with it. I think that stand should make you president of the council. Anyway,
well,
Tom, tell me, because I've seen you work hard to get these 20,000 jobs to make Wilmington a better place to live, and like I didn't know what you did at the courthouse. I'm sure that there are many people who hear your name, but never hear of what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. There's an awful lot of people don't. Citrus Sucrose was another example of that down at the port. They wanted to expand. There was another $15 million in recovery zone bond financing. So that money, most of our money, was in the city of Wilmington. I made certain of that.
And that's great, you know. And so, folks who can vote need to know how to vote. And so I'm just so impressed with what you two guys can do.
Well, and you know, we have when you have 13 members, sometimes you have Jay Street, you have you know, George Smiley, you have President Bullock. All these people come together and allowed us to freeze GM from being sold for townhouses, and work to get this port appreciated and move forward because of a dream that the longshoremen had. And the longshoremen, you know, Congo Harris and Mr. Ash, were the ones that came to us and said, you know, all the ships are going past us. Why are we not out on the river? And it's happening. But it needs to happen. You know, the next fight we're going to have is finances because of a study that I already started to give out. And these are facts that we pay $60 million comes out of the city and the county and goes below the canal for equalization for Kent and Sussex. 90% of the money, I think, comes out of the county and it's mostly the city for the taxes to be relieved in Kent and Sussex. So if you live in Newcastle County or Wilmington, you pay 6 times the amount of taxes. And I've said this before, but I'm going to produce a report and we may go to court because this inequity is what's killing the city. If you live in a city, right now you got a traffic tax with the lights, you got a property tax, a wage tax, a county tax, a state tax, a federal tax, and 54% of your properties are non-taxable. It's going to fail. But you have to suffer the consequences of the pollution from the corporations and the congestion. But yet, it can all leave the city and the county for 2 counties that need to raise their taxes. And if the public would understand this report, that we're sending $60 million to Kent and Sussex for equalization and we can't have a school district in a city, this is going to break wide open. These are facts. When I say something, I don't make it up. The study's done, and we're going to either go to court or we're going to have a settlement on this. But it's got to stop. The city has to come back with more than you know, everything being tax exempt and not the ability to raise money. And yet most of it comes from here. That's the failure. And then you get the, you know, let's arrest everybody that's doing the crime. There's not many people left to arrest. You really got to realize it's years of directing the economic development other than the city of Wilmington. Everybody would benefit, the county and the state, if the city would come back strong. It's not something we got to have either or. You got to appreciate the corporate capital's here. It's nowhere else, and we've got to get the city back with home ownership, and people that can raise a family, buy a house back, buy a car, educate their kids, and a school district that's in the city. We got to slow down these charter schools. I mean, this is really a very important agenda, and I think the next 4 years are critical. The stock market and the Port of Wilmington can bring the city back.
Gentlemen, I hate to cut you off because it is so informative. I just hope that the people listening will be paying attention. I hope they understand the depth of what you're saying and what impact it has on their everyday life, and some decisions to keep you guys floating so you can continue your good work.
I appreciate you taking the time out to interview both of us and let us talk for more than 2 minutes.
I'm sorry that this is the maiden voyage for Brother Penrose here.
I finally made it. I'm happy.
I think we have 2 more weeks. I think we have 2 more weeks.
Well, you guys stay with me here and make sure that the public gets to hear these stories.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to educate the public. It's more than what you hear on a second shot or somebody's brochure, and the public has no way of really proving that. So people say stuff because they're ambitious.
Well, if I don't get off of here, we won't get any more spots from Trippy. He's kind of looking at me strange over there, so I'm going
he's
to.
The second district.
We got to keep Trippy
straight
happy.
To a quick break, so that we'll be right back in a few minutes with Trippy's notices and community events. And I just want to thank you guys for helping the community to make some good decisions.
Thank you.
On September 13th. Thanks again, folks, for tuning in, and we'll see you in a few minutes.